Hi guys, so today I'm going to be testing another Chanel foundation. This time it's the Healthy Glow foundation that was released a few months ago at least. I have actually been meaning to do this review long ago, but I just never got around to it, and I was really curious about seeing how this foundation could improve my complexion. When it comes to reviews, initially they were very positive. I did read a few blog posts on this foundation, and actually one of the really well-known bloggers said that this was the best foundation that she has ever used. Now, a few months on, I have actually checked reviews of the so-called regular people, so people who are not necessarily in the beauty or makeup industry, and the reviews are quite mixed, I'd say. In fact, they are lower than I expected. The average rating is slightly less than 4 out of 5 stars, and that I think is quite low for a foundation that actually costs £37. It comes in a 30ml bottle, it contains SPF 25 and comes in 14 shades. Now, Chanel claims that this foundation will give you a natural healthy glow, sort of perhaps like a sun-kissed face or when you've been on holidays, at least that's the claim. At the same time, it is meant to even out your complexion, even though it gives you a sheer finish. It is also meant to protect your skin from environmental factors, so it does contain, apart from the SPF, something called kalanchoe extracts or kalanchoe extracts. I have never heard of that, so I don't really know how to pronounce it, but apparently that is meant to make your skin more resistant to sort of negative impact that the environment might have. Apparently it also contains hyaluronic acid derivative, and it is meant to hydrate. However, some of the reviews I have read claim that actually it was quite drying on the skin, so I'm not quite sure how that is, if this foundation is actually meant to moisturize your skin. Two other main complaints that I have read about are that it actually settles in your lines and with time becomes quite patchy. So we will obviously test it throughout the day, so at least 8 hours. So I will obviously have a chance to see whether that would be the case with my skin. I have a combination skin, which isn't the easiest to care for. Now, let's get started. I'll be using 2 different tools today, as in a few of my previous videos as well. On one side of my face, I'll be using a beauty sponge, on the other a brush, just to compare if there is any difference and whether one or the other tool might actually be better with this particular foundation. Now, if you can hear any noise, I do apologize. It's actually just my neighbors upstairs. They have a toddler, so it's quite noisy in my flat because obviously I live below. It's a really old house, so the flooring isn't very good. The color I'll be using today is the number 20, so it's not the lightest shade, but it's one of the lighter ones. So I do hope that this time I actually got it right, because I tend to get it wrong with foundation shades all the time, as you would probably know if you've watched my previous videos. If you haven't, then please do, and obviously please subscribe to my channel for more reviews. Now, this foundation is meant to have a sheer finish, so I think it's a slightly on the lighter side. Obviously, as you can see, I have quite a bit of redness on my face. I have some acne scars and some acne to cover up as well. Now, obviously, I don't expect this foundation to cover these, but I just want to see if it will make any difference whatsoever. I am a fairly big fan of lighter foundations. I don't like really heavy foundations, so even though probably it's not gonna give me a flawless look, I would still be happy to see what it looks like on my skin. Consistency of the foundation seems to be pretty standard for liquid foundation, nothing extraordinary there, not too watery, not too liquidy. It's kind of like an average consistency of a foundation. Let's just start with my beauty blender. I think that Chanel started to put their own perfume in their foundations, something I don't normally like, but honestly, this set is so beautiful that I really don't mind. I know it's not good for your skin to have fragrance in your skin products, including foundations, but this is just too good for me to complain about. And obviously, dabba dabba dabba. I think that for once I actually got the right shade for my skin. Just pretty refreshing. If you watch my other videos. It is meant to be a light foundation and it seems quite light. Actually, it distributes really quickly, which is great, even with a beauty sponge, which normally takes, in my case at least, way longer than with a brush. I'm just wondering whether perhaps because it is a light foundation, whether a sponge wouldn't actually be better for it. Okay, now my first impression is that first, the scent is heavenly. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. It's like proper perfume in your foundation. Second, I'd say that I'm very happy with the way it looks. I didn't actually apply all that much and it didn't take me a long time to apply either. On top of that, it did in fact, in spite of its sort of lighter coverage, it did manage to even out my skin pretty well. So obviously you can still see that I am quite pink around my nose especially, but it's way better than I expected. Now I'm going to do a close-up so that you can perhaps see the difference between each side of my face and you can then probably compare a little bit better what it has done so far. Okay, so this is the side with the foundation on already. I'm really happy with it. And this is without. Okay, yes, you can see definitely I have a lot of acne, but on this side I do have some scars as well, and it seems that they're definitely way less visible than they were just a couple of minutes ago. Now I will probably apply a little bit more of this foundation on my forehead because I do have more serious issues with my forehead, as you can see. But for now, let's just move on to the other side of my face and use the brush. It feels really good when you apply it onto your skin. There's this wetness feeling on your face. Okay. And those are seagulls flying above my house. I am absolutely in love with this foundation at this point. I think it has given me the most natural skin I could possibly have while still covering some of the problems that my skin is experiencing, and for once I actually got the correct shade for my skin tone. So you can probably see it did cover my acne to some extent. On my forehead as well. It took me absolutely no time to apply this foundation. It's probably the quickest application I've had in a long time, including the foundations that I use on a daily basis. You can see those in what's in my makeup bag videos if you wanted to check those out. I will add just a little bit to my forehead and to my nose as well on each side, because that area is quite oily, so it's difficult to cover. Comes to my nose, blender always works a little bit better. Brush sadly doesn't work very well on very oily areas. It tends to leave streak marks. Then I normally just dab it with my fingertips anyway. And this is the final finish. Let me put it this way. This is probably, in my opinion, and this is just the first impression, this is probably the only foundation that I can say I am absolutely in love with straight away. The moment I actually put it just on one side of my face, I was amazed. It evened out my complexion, but it looks flawless. It looks like I'm not wearing anything. And on top of that, it did actually to some extent cover my acne scars and my acne, which is just a fringe benefit. If obviously you have some more serious problems, then probably you would have to put some concealer, and I probably will as well, although I am very eager to test it and see how it's gonna look throughout the day, so I'm not sure I will do that. But so far, this is just really the first thought that comes to my mind when I'm looking at my face. I love it. It's the perfect foundation for me. There were some complaints about the durability of this product and that it actually becomes quite patchy or that it gathers in fine lines. So I will obviously test it throughout the day, at least for 8 hours, and I will see if it's still on my face at all and what happens with it, because I just love it. I love it. So far, so good. I will see you guys later in the evening. Hi guys and welcome back. It's been approximately 9 hours since I applied this foundation. Before sitting down to film this part of the video, I did have a closer look at my skin in the mirror. I obviously did read some reviews, so I am aware that obviously some people have been experiencing problems with this foundation. Now, I still really like it. This is probably one of the best foundations I have tried, perhaps ever. It might be my top 3 high-end foundations at this point. Looking at my skin in this harsh light, it's probably not very apparent, but the foundation held up really well, apart from my forehead, but it's mainly because I tend to touch my face, a really bad habit, I know. From some parts of my face, the foundation obviously has been removed almost completely, I'd say, and you can see the redness shining through, but it's literally my fault, not really the foundation's fault. So overall, I think that it has lasted a very decent amount of time, considering that it is very light. Now, in terms of application, I would say that I prefer it applied with blender. I don't really know why. Maybe it's just too light for a brush. I really can't explain why I prefer the blender on this occasion than the brush. I think that the results are pretty similar, if not exactly the same, but overall somehow I just felt that blender would suit this foundation a little bit better. Straight after filming the first part of the video, I wanted to take some pictures. I did take a few pictures and I looked like a ghost. And then I realized that it's not because the shade was wrong or there's anything wrong with the foundation, it's because I was using flash, and this foundation does contain SPF 25, which, as we all know, is not particularly good when you're taking pictures, especially if you're using flash. Some people complain that this foundation seems to be drying. I definitely do not have a problem with that. After applying it in the morning, I did feel that my face felt kind of wet to the touch, and that lasted for I think about an hour afterwards. I didn't put any other makeup on today, so no powder either, and yet I don't think that my skin is that shiny. Also, I again did have a look at my fine lines, and I don't see this product gathering in my fine lines, not to a point where I would be like, wow, you know, that is really visible. I really don't think so. I think that it is a really good product, if you don't have major issues with your skin, and if you perhaps are looking for something very natural, because I must say this is probably the most natural looking foundation with still a little bit of coverage that I have used in a number of years, so I'm really happy with that. Throughout the day, it just looked like I had a really good skin. It didn't look like I had foundation on, which is absolutely great. And if it wasn't for my terrible habit of touching my face all the time, probably you would be a little bit more impressed than you must be right now with this foundation. So overall, I would definitely classify this as one of the best foundations I have used ever so far. I don't see anything wrong with this foundation. It's not patchy, it didn't move, it just still is on my face. Obviously it's not in a perfect state at this point, but I wouldn't expect it to be after 9 hours. Obviously, we all have different skin types, we have different lifestyles, we live in different climates. All of this will influence the way this foundation works on our skin. So if possible, I always recommend to get a sample, because this is the safest way to actually try a product, especially if it is quite expensive, and Chanel foundations are always expensive. No exceptions. So yeah, that is, I guess, all for this review. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Please comment and let me know whether you've tried this foundation, how it worked on your skin. I'm always really keen on hearing other people's opinions about products. I think that we can all help one another in choosing the best ones. And obviously, please share if you found it useful. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I do love making foundation review videos because I personally find them extremely helpful, and foundation to me is like the king or the queen of makeup. Thank you so much once again, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!